him, and he doesn't have any ideological ground to stand on, because leftism isn't an ideology. It is simply a power play, or is simply about control and power, and whoever has it wins.
Absolutely, and it kind of gets back to what we were talking about a few weeks ago. We were talking about Kurt Schlichter's "I'm a Liberal," and the chapter 3 of that book, which is awesome, talking about how they are an amorphous blob that doesn't really have any real principles, and that they don't have anything that even resembles remotely a cohesive argument. They just go for an amoeba attack on all sides to try and win. This is splitting up that blob. That's how we win. We split up that blob, and when they start attacking each other, it's like it is complete breakdown of the whole body.
And what happens when you have the juxtaposition of immigration, illegal immigration, and labor and people working in jobs in the economy? What happens when you have feminists versus the LGBT, the transgendered person who wanted to run for the head of a club or a organization at college and couldn't because she had transgendered into a man, and therefore it was all crazy. When you set these constituencies against each other, when you find places to insert that little irritant, I think we can get a harvest of pearls out of it for ourselves when we can force that confrontation over something, magnify them when they happen, point them out, and where possible, give them a little nudge. I think that being able to keep the coalition, the grievance union, at each other's throats gives us more room to maneuver and makes them look like they're perpetually outraged and ridiculous, which is the role they always try to cast us in.
And they are perpetually outraged. They absolutely are. I just can't wait to see to see groups of the LGBT community going into black neighborhoods and telling them to check their privilege. I mean, the amount of it's just amazing to me, that concept. And
how can we get them to attack unions? Because the unions are a natural constituency for us, because we're about the middle class and supporting and protecting their jobs and employment and all of that. And most of the stuff that the left is actually doing hurts unions.
And that's exactly right. And we can do that. And it's the same thing with the African American community. We can talk about, hey, do you really want to be allowing so many illegal immigrants into the country when we have a dearth of entry-level jobs, when we have a dearth of good-paying middle-class jobs? Is that really what you want to do? Or do you really want to increase the labor pool? You're doing this, it hurts unions, it hurts everybody, because, the Party of Choice shared on their page today a story from California where a bookshop had to close down because of the minimum wage increases, which is yet another level that we can push in there, another nail in the left coffin. Fishy?
Can we go into minimum wage and have that at the same time as we're pushing for a very large influx of illegal immigrant workers? You can look at all these issues and go to a particular constituency and ask those questions. How, is that really going to benefit you? Is that really something that you're going to support? Because here's what the consequences look like they're going to be. And I think that's a very easy way to introduce that kind of needling, that nudging, that little bit of doubt in individuals that will hopefully spread when they begin to apply that and discuss that amongst their particular members of their particular grievance union.
I think, in my experience, though, that I agree with all of that, but in my experience, we're much more effective in doing that if we first come up from a position of not wanting to impose our beliefs on others. And here's what I mean. Let's say you're at work, okay, and you got a series of liberals that represent different groups. And liberals are very quick to, they all want to control everybody, and so they're what they want to control is pitted against one another very often, but they all work together. Why? Because they have a common enemy, us. And so you've always got, 2 or 3 judgmental conservatives, maybe conservative Christians like me, who are, who are dismissive and intolerant and attacking. Okay, now they've all got bad guys that they can all rally against, and that keeps them from turning against one another. What I always did was this. I always told them, oh yeah, look, I'm a conservative, right-wing, evangelical Christian. Okay? But the first part of my belief system is this. I don't want my beliefs to be your laws. Okay? So, right there I take that off the table. I say, yeah, I love sharing my view. I love sharing my beliefs, and I love hearing yours. But I don't want my beliefs to be your laws. I don't want to be your God. I'm not qualified. Okay.
I love that. That's one of the party of choice nuggets that we don't often brush upon on the Refinery, but that's one of the great ones right there.
Well, thanks. And the thing that sets up now is that now if I do everything you just described, now you can pit them against one another very easily because now you're not the enemy that they can all rally against, which keeps them all going in one direction, but you're the good guy who doesn't want to impose your beliefs on them as laws. And now it's very easy to look at them and say, really, you want to raise minimum wage? I mean, you've been here 6 months. That means the new people come in, and that means raises for you who earned it are going to take much longer to come. And when they come, they're going to be smaller because we're going to be spending more money, and they're probably going to have to cut back. So you're going to have to be running more just to eat. And you can start pitting their needs again. And like you were saying, are you sure? Really, you want a lot of illegals coming in? They're going to lower your wages because they're going to come in. They're not paying the same taxes you are. They're going to be working for a lot less, and if the bosses can get a lot of people for a lot less, they're not going to hire you, or they're not going to pay you what you're worth. And suddenly you can pit them against each other, but you can't do that if you come at them from a position first of wanting to impose your views as their laws.
Very well put, and that's something that we need to remember when we are trying to sabotage the left. And I have to say that this is not malicious. This is not like we don't like them as people or whatever, or the we don't care about gay people or transsexual people or whatever. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the left and their cults. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the grievance unions. We're not talking about individuals. We're talking about the collective anger and outrage over every little thing that happens. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about individuals. We're talking about the groupthink that the left has in these subgroups, in these subcategories, and that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about we're not trying to be malicious over gay people or whatever. That's completely beside the point at all. I know a ton of awesome gay conservatives. I know a ton of just gay people that I have no problem with. There is a specific group that is extremely politically correct and has their, goes into the whole privilege checking thing. That's what we're talking about here, and that is a major part of the left, where they raise their funds from. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, actually, if I may run with you there, absolutely. The idea is not to use this as an attack strategy, but as a reveal strategy. And what I mean is, as I always say, there aren't too few of us. Referring to conservatives, there aren't too few of us. There are too few who know they are us. And when you talk about that core of the left, that politically correct, judgmental, intolerant core of the left, they're very irritating. And if you aren't, then they can be seen. Okay, and so when if you're coming at them and you're saying, look, I don't want my views to be your laws, I just want to be heard. Well, okay, well that's fair enough. And then you show them, well, do you really want this to be controlled in this way? Do you want to be controlled in that way? Do you want to be controlled? Do you want this done to you? Suddenly, the conservatism in them that they didn't know was there comes out. And a great example would be I saw a lot of times with gay people who, on average, make a lot more money. And you talk taxes. And before you know it, they really, really, really don't like paying higher taxes so somebody else can sit around. They don't like it. They don't like it, and they'll use the words, I try to be nice, but they'll use the words parasite and this kind of stuff because they don't care.
Well,
once again, if you're
that's one of those benefits, fringe benefits of being a card-carrying member of the left, is you get to say things that might make you look racist or whatever. Going back to the whole topic of political correctness, that's one of those things. If you're a leftist, you get away with this stuff.
Well, especially if you're gay, and they know that and they enjoy it. I mean, I don't say it in a bad way. I enjoy that. But yeah, the bottom line is, if you're the good guy, then it's easy to, number one, show that core of intolerant, politically correct leftists are the bad guys. But number two, it's easy to bring out the conservative that is in so many of them.
Absolutely. We just need to practice it, and we just need to remember those strategies when we encounter those situations where we can employ them. And we need to remember that it's not always about attacking, and we have to push our agenda every single second. We need to be able to listen. We need to be able to engage in conversation. It cannot just be attack, 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 attack. It's not helpful. We don't have that kind of gunpowder. We are not able to get away with that.
Well, and before you go on, I just wanted to mention this. I think that and we have had this discussion today in the Conservative Union, that sometimes advocacy doesn't look like advocacy. It looks like something else. But we have people who are conditioned to think that if you're not yelling, if you're not starting with your debating points and everything, that you're not fighting. And that is absolutely not true. There are different methodologies and different ways to reach people, and we need to be open to more than just the yelling, more than just starting with our talking points, more than just our way is the best and here's why. We need to explore those conversations with people, lead them through conversations, ask them questions. And sometimes that doesn't look like fighting to some people on our side. And I'd just like to say to those people, I'd like them to rethink that. We can have some subversive actions going on that don't necessarily look like what you would expect a banner-waving, flag-carrying, red, white, and blue person on the conservative side to start with. But Andy is giving some really subversive, good, solid subversive tactics that could also be used, subversive techniques that should also be employed, and they are also fighting.
We need to be fighting on all fronts.
Yeah, if you think of this as a war, you're not in battle all the time, and even if you're in battle, you're not always shooting, you're not always throwing a bomb, you're not always blowing something up. You have spies who are infiltrating, you have generals who are planning strategies. I mean, there are so many different aspects to winning a war. And this is a long war for the soul of America. And we have to be able to have people who play every part and have, run every position, or now I'm going into sports, and that's really an arena I don't know anything about. So sorry, no sportsing. But we
At
have
least
to
you got the arena part right. Yes,
yeah, right?
generally sports are played in arenas.
Are they really? Oh, okay, well, that's cool. So like coliseums and I'm learning. There was a sports thing that happened this weekend, right? Okay, never mind. Don't want to get distracted about that. Okay, how did that happen? There's something weird going on technically that is not me doing